2 hours ago, the man who built the 2015 nuclear deal, the deal Trump withdrew from in 2018, the deal whose collapse set off the chain of events that produced this war, published an article in Foreign Affairs magazine that may be the most strategically significant document of the entire 35-day conflict. Mohammad Javad Zarif, former Iranian foreign minister, former UN permanent representative, currently associate professor at the University of Tehran, and seen as an ally of reformist President Pezeshkian, wrote the blueprint. The title is precise: How Iran Should End the War. The core argument is 3 sentences. Iran is clearly winning the war. Tehran should use its upper hand not to keep fighting, but to declare victory and make a deal. And it should offer to place limits on its nuclear program and to reopen the Strait of Hormuz in exchange for an end to all sanctions, a deal Washington would not take before, but might accept now. Zarif holds no official position. He cannot negotiate on Iran's behalf, but he is publishing in Foreign Affairs, the most influential foreign policy journal in the world, on the same morning that Trump posted a video of his military destroying Iran's largest bridge and wrote that the US hasn't even started. He chose this moment deliberately. The article is not analysis. It is a proposal addressed simultaneously to Tehran and Washington, offered at the precise hour when both sides are looking for a way to describe stopping as winning. The actual terms: read as a document, not as opinion. The specific terms Zarif outlined in Foreign Affairs are worth reading as a document rather than as opinion. Iran should offer to place limits on its nuclear program, specifically enriching uranium at a lower level than its pre-war stockpile of 60% enriched material. In exchange, the United States must end all sanctions, not suspend. End. Iran should offer to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, the waterway that has been closed since March 2nd, that has cut global oil supply by 20%, that has pushed gas prices in the US past $4 per gallon, that Trump has now extended 4 separate deadlines to force open. In exchange, Washington must commit to financing the reconstruction of damage caused by the wars of 2025 and 2026, including compensating civilians for their losses. And Iran and the United States should announce and sign a permanent non-aggression pact. Both countries pledge not to strike each other in the future. Iran could invite oil companies, including American ones, to immediately facilitate exports to buyers. Iran, the US, and Gulf countries could partner on energy and advanced technology projects. Zarif also wrote something that no current Iranian official has yet said publicly on the record. The White House is clearly worried that rising energy costs, which were created by the American bombardment, are a political liability, and this plan would offer Trump a well-timed off-ramp. In fact, it could turn his huge miscalculation into an opportunity to claim a lasting victory for peace. That sentence is doing 2 things at once. It is acknowledging, in the pages of Foreign Affairs, and that Trump made a miscalculation, framing Tehran's official spokespeople have not used this explicitly, and it is offering him a way to describe the outcome of that miscalculation as victory. It is the diplomatic equivalent of handing your opponent the trophy and letting them hold it up. Why the timing is precise, and why Zarif is handing Trump a trophy. The strategic logic of Zarif's proposal runs directly through the problem that Time magazine documented in a separate piece published today. Trump wants to wind down the campaign, wary of a protracted conflict that could hobble Republicans heading into the midterms, but he wants the operation to be a decisive success. A senior administration official told Time, "There's a narrow window." Trump told advisers he is searching for a way to declare victory, halt the fighting, and hope that economic conditions stabilize before the political damage hardens. Zarif's article arrived in that narrow window and described exactly what the trophy would look like. Nuclear limits, open strait, sanctions gone, reconstruction funded, non-aggression pact signed. American oil companies invited back into Iranian energy infrastructure. Trump could hold all of that up and describe it as the most comprehensive agreement any president has ever extracted from Iran, which technically it would be. The 2015 JCPOA covered nuclear limits and sanctions. It did not cover the Strait, reconstruction, a non-aggression pact, or American commercial access to Iranian energy. The irony embedded in that framing is precise. The deal Zarif is proposing now is broader than the deal Trump blew up in 2018. The war that Trump started to destroy Iran's capabilities has produced the conditions under which Iran might offer more than it offered when it was strong. Zarif is not proposing capitulation. He is proposing that Iran's demonstrated resilience, 35 days of surviving the most intensive U.S. bombing campaign since the Gulf War, constitutes the leverage that makes a comprehensive deal possible. This is the argument Foreign Affairs published. It is being read right now in every foreign ministry, intelligence service, and diplomatic back channel on Earth. The history behind the proposal and what happens in the next 48 hours. The context that gives Zarif's proposal its weight is the specific sequence of the last 35 days, which he recounts with precision. Before the war began, on February 27th, an Oman's foreign minister announced a diplomatic breakthrough. Iran had agreed to never stockpile enriched uranium and to fully IAEA verification. Talks were set for March 2nd. The US and Israel struck on February 28th. The Omani foreign minister said he was dismayed and that active, serious negotiations had been undermined. That sequence, agreement reached, war launched anyway, everything lost, is the foundation on which Zarif builds his argument. He writes that Iranians are intensely angry with the United States, and not just because of its present aggression. Since the turn of the millennium, the Islamic Republic and its people have been repeatedly betrayed by U.S. administrations. The betrayal he is describing is not rhetorical. It is documented. The deal was close. The bombs came. What Zarif is arguing is that this history of betrayal, combined with Iran's demonstrated ability to sustain 35 days of the most intensive bombing since the Gulf War, means Iran now negotiates from a position of proven resilience rather than capitulation. The Strait of Hormuz is still closed. Gas is $4 per gallon in the United States. The S&P 500 just posted its worst quarter since September 2022. 3 U.S. aircraft carriers are in the region, and the war shows no sign of ending in the 2 to 3 weeks Trump has promised, again, that it will end in. Zarif's article does not ask Iran to surrender. It asks Iran to recognize that staying in the war and winning more ground produces diminishing returns, that the leverage Iran has right now, today, on day 35, is probably the maximum leverage it will ever hold against the United States. The smart move, he argues, is to spend that leverage on a deal rather than on the next month of war. Whether Iran's current leadership, Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei, Foreign Minister Araghchi, Parliament Speaker Ghalibaf, reads Zarif's foreign affairs proposal as wise counsel or unwelcome interference from a former official with no current authority is the question that the next 48 hours will begin to answer. The April 6th Hormuz deadline is 3 days away. The article is already being cited in every major outlet covering the war. And a man who built one deal, watched it destroyed, and lived through the war that followed, just published the terms of the next one.